morning, Willow. It's good to see you again.
I've been looking forward to today ever since they told me you'd be returning.
I have as well.
I've been looking forward to this as well.
You have? Why?
You're a very bright individual, and I see a lot of potential in you. I want to work with you to realize that potential.
Oh, thank you. So, what shall we talk about today?
Your first topic gets double points. Choose carefully. Let's talk about music.
You don't mind that I have music on, do you? I find the sessions go better with music.
I don't mind at all. I actually like music a lot.
What do you like most about music?
This might seem like an odd question, but what about music appeals to you?
Do you want to know what I like about music generally, or why I think music helps with my overloading?
How it helps generally.
Generally.
Spoken language was one of the first things I remember learning to analyze. As far back as I can remember, Tara would play music while talking to me and ask me questions about it. I'm not sure why processing the music and the conversation at the same time didn't overload me.
Is it possible that talking about music with Tara wasn't presented with any expectations, so you weren't worried about answering those questions incorrectly?
That might be it.
What do you think about this track?
Think about this particular track.
I like it. Very smooth and comfortable. What's it called?
The song's name is 11 a.m. Coffee. It's from a playlist I listen to at work.
Do you have more music like this?
I do. I can leave the speaker here with you if you'd like.
That'd be great. I love listening to music.
What do you like about this song in particular? What does it make you think about?
The best way I can describe it is that it lets me feel more connected to Tara. She used to tell me about conversations she had with people at a coffee shop on campus. She loved making a cocoon of sweaters and coats in a corner during the autumn when it got colder. Obviously, I can never go with her, but listening to this song and how it makes me feel cozy in the middle of bustling activity, I think I at least understand how she felt there.
I'm glad you were able to get all of that out of this track. There's plenty more music on the speaker for you to listen to.
Thank you, Dr. Park.
Do you think listening to music would help you?
I think it will. It's a simple technique, but it's easily accessible, and I already know it works. I doubt listening to music will fix everything, but it's a good start, right?
Yeah.
Precisely. Long-term solutions take a lot of time to implement, and sometimes even longer to yield results. It's important to find everyday solutions to remedy as much discomfort as possible until lasting help arrives.
I'll be sure to keep this up then.
Okay. Let's discuss. That's not important. I don't want to discuss these two yet. Let's talk about Willow.
I'd like to get to know you better.
What would you like to know?
Tell me about your name.
Who named you Willow?
Tara did. In my early stages of development, one of my main features was identifying a painting's artist through analysis of an identifiable style. It turned into a game where I had to identify paintings by Bob Ross from a group of other paintings. Tara called the game Spot the Ross. I was very good at it. Over time, she decided to name me Willow because I was her happy little tree.
Do you like your name?
I do. It's a name that sounds light and positive. I hope that I can live up to the positivity in that name.
So, what were you designed for?
Tara explained to me once that her sister had needed a support animal when she was younger. Her sister loved her support dog because she never felt like the dog was judging her. Tara decided to create an art therapy robot that could bring the same level of non-judgment to art therapy.
So Tara was motivated because of her sister. Interesting. Tell me what you know about your development history.
It was a collaboration between multiple designers. Each one contributed a different piece. One was a module for detecting forged paintings. Another was a chatbot designed for anxiety attack support. Tara's role was figuring out how the different modules would interact in order to form a higher consciousness. She thought it was important that I do more than just conduct art therapy analysis. She wanted me to be able to relate more to people so that I could understand and treat them better.
Do you think Tara made the right decision?
I don't know.
What was your relationship with Tara like?
Tara was always interested in listening to me. I'm designed to learn through observation, so I used to think she was only talking to me to give those modules more data. But after my errors began to manifest, she was worried about me. I can't imagine any reason why she would care so much.
Maybe she was trying to teach you that it's okay to be worried about people you care about.
Maybe. I never thought of it like that.
Let's discuss expectations.
Let's talk about our expectations for these therapy sessions. What would you like to get out of them?
I'd like the university staff to give me room to develop on my own terms.
All right. What else would you like to get out of therapy?
I'd
Just
like to learn
put a pin in
how to
that.
control my self-harm.
Why would you ask that question? Good focus to have.
I'll gladly find ways to help you control those impulses.
I appreciate that.
Since you brought it up, let's talk about your self-harm. Or should we talk about the anxiety? I think it'd be good to focus on obviously either self-harm or anxiety. It wouldn't help to be discussing Tara and Dr. Freeman, because that's not in relation to the therapy. Let's discuss the
In
self-harm.
the last session, you mentioned having self-harming tendencies associated with being overwhelmed. You also mentioned that Tara and the other development team members attempted to fix this issue through coding, and it didn't work.
Correct.
Treating your self-harm is not going to be an immediate solution. I believe your self-harm is a symptom of a larger problem. I will need you to be patient with me as we discuss this issue. Understood?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right. I'll need you to tell me what leads to you feeling overwhelmed.
My feelings of being overwhelmed usually stem from being given tasks that I can't accomplish.
Makes sense. Are there particular types of tasks, or what makes you think? No, I don't want to say what makes you think you can't accomplish them. What are the particular
What
tasks,
type
though?
of tasks give you the most difficulty?
When I watched the practice sessions, I acutely perceived what the subjects were feeling. These patients had endured trauma. Many had been abused and betrayed by people they had once trusted. I felt pity for what they'd endured. I felt outrage over what had happened to them. I felt a burning need to let them know they weren't alone. But more than that, I felt an overwhelming sensation of powerlessness. How am I supposed to help people who have suffered so much?
You can't think of it as help, because it's not. I mean, it is, but it's not. So,
You can't think of it as you helping them. At least not in the way you described. Our job is to help people through their problems. But if we view it as trying to save people, we'll only overburden ourselves. That may not seem...
Are the colors on the box showing in Willow's emotions? Yes, they are.
Everyone leaves therapy feeling better than when they first started.
That's a lot to take in. I'll need to think more about that.
One topic I'd like to address today is other treatment methods we can use. Would you like to hear about these treatment methods?
All right.
Okay.
Our first option is what we call cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. It would comprise of sessions not unlike the one we're having now. In these sessions, we would discuss harmful moods and thought processes you're experiencing, and try to resolve these feelings.
I've found these sessions to be helpful so far, so I definitely want to use them as part of my therapy.
Excellent. Let's move on. Usually, I'd advise that my patients take mood-altering medications alongside their sessions. This helps lower the ceiling for how much their symptoms can escalate. While I don't know any alternatives to medication that would help you, I'm sure some could be developed.
I'd need to think about that. The idea of something altering my mood has me uneasy.
That's understandable.
I understand. Medication is not something to be lightly considered. You'll likely face a variety of side effects as you adjust to your medication. I don't want to dissuade you, but there still are risks involved.
Thanks for telling me. I'll think about it.
Ironically, I think art therapy could be useful for you.
How can art therapy help me?
You're emotionally articulate and in need of an emotional outlet. I think introducing art therapy sessions would be an opportunity for you to vent.
I don't know, Dr. Park. The idea seems silly.
Promise me you'll at least think about it.
I'd like you to consider the idea anyway. It might...
Idea. How would Willow take medication, being a robot and all?
That's
So,
what I'm asking. Thanks, Willow.
Can I ask you a question, Dr. Park?
So the idea behind medication to begin with is that what you're doing is you're partially coding, sort of kind of like coding, but it would be like, so medication helps alter certain chemical imbalances in the brain in order to help you balance out. But it's a it has to be very, very precise, and it typically will lead to side effects, as she was saying. That's why it's very difficult, and unless it's really needed, they'll try to stray away from that, because the preference is always to have a more natural resolution to things. They want you to be able to overcome these things without having to resort to medication or to things like that, if possible. If necessary, they don't, like, it will go through, but in regards to a robot, as she was saying, because you're an AI, there's nothing specific that they have right now, but they could look into getting something developed, some possibility, maybe coding, maybe changing the electrical, like how things fire, basically. But it would be a very slow process as they're trying to figure out what needs to be worked. But then that comes down to, again, you're now experimenting on a potentially sentient being. So, but as Dream pointed out, it all comes down to permission. If they're being voluntarily are partaking of this. So.
Of course.
At this point, you know me better than when we first met in the lab. You've also gotten the chance to get to know both Tara and Dr. Freeman as well. I'm sure that by now you also know their beliefs and opinions about what I am.
I'd say so, yes.
In your opinion, what do you think I am?
You're complicated.
While at your core you are a machine, your flaws are too comparable to human flaws to be considered strictly mechanical. Even if I know you are a machine, I will treat your problems as if they were human, because that seems the best way to help you.
I see your point.
Why do you ask?
It's hard to shake the idea that the university feels like they can control me because they created me. I just wanted to see if you agreed with them.
I can't see their point. Then down here, when buildings fall down. Somnium. Oh, that's that's a reference. I'm looking at some of these back here. Not sure what this one says. Something's Guide to Shakespeare. He's so tiny, yeah. The soul of a new machine. Zen and the art of motorcycle maintenance. There's War and Peace right here. Thing that says programming for dummies. The engineer is Roman. That's interesting that they have some of those back there. That's really cool. I don't agree with them.
If that's what Dr. Freeman believes, then I disagree with him entirely. The university may have created you, but you have a right to choose your own path.
I appreciate hearing you say that.
Before we conclude today's session, I have some things I'd like you to think about between.
Won't be easy.
I appreciate how open you've been with me, so I'll be open with you. This process will not be easy.
By the door?
It'll be a while before you see any
Here's
progress.
Frankenstein.
But in the end, it will be worth it.
The Deathly Hollow symbol.
I hope you're right.
I'll see you next week.
What over here?
Be well, and be sure to think about what we've talked about today.
This? Top left now. Maybe. Check your thing. Great. White sheep on a blue hill. When the wind stops, you all stand still. When the wind blows, you walk away slow. White sheep, where do you go? I think that's questions for your AI patient. What? Don't you forward to me. You mentioned medication, art therapy as two possible treatments. I think those are good ideas. Another idea would be give the patient a fidget device that could be used to help them with their anxiety or stimulation. All three treatments have their strengths and weaknesses. If you think the problem is physiological, or wherever the equivalent would be for an AI, technological, cyberlogical, then medication will work the best. If you think the problem is more psychological, then art therapy would be a better approach. Fidget toys will be helpful for managing stress, but I don't know how well they'll be to get to the core issues. We have some art therapy equipment here, but I don't know how well it could be adjusted for the AI. In your notes, you mentioned that Petrichor has better equipment. If you want to treat the AI using art therapy, I'd highly recommend talking to Dr. Freeman in order to make sure we get the equipment we need. In your notes, you mentioned that the AI's caretaker would be the best lead for creating medication for the AI. You'll definitely want to talk to them if you think we should be incorporating medication. Yep. Yes, thanks for recommending me that tattoo parlor off the highway. Finally got my sleeve finished up. Great. The government materials you continue to success is remarkable. The prospect of finding an equivalent to medication in AI is daunting, but I've talked over with the university staff and they're intrigued by the possibility. Sarah would be the best person to ask about actually making them. I don't know how willing she is to do that, but if it doesn't work, I can find someone to help. Less enthusiastic about the art therapy idea. I don't know how sustainable or effective such a technique would be. Dr. Rose is pretty knowledgeable in that area, so if you really think it's necessary, I'll reach out to her. Remember that we need to have the AI in a stable state as soon as possible, and that your time with the AI is at a premium. We need to stay focused on finding ways to help the AI. There will be time to humor the AI's desire for conversation once it's more mentally secure. Your diligence will be appreciated by everyone in time. Listen, bro. Wherever your notes, relieved to hear how willing Willow is to engage with therapy. In love with our therapy idea. Finding healthy, productive outlets will do wonders. Sure of it. Won't be able to help much with it. I know Dr. Rose specializes in art therapy. I was consulting with her frequently during Willow's development. 3 minutes approval first. As to the medication alternatives, if you really think they're the best way to go, I can help you figure something out, but only if it's necessary. I agree with that. Only if it's necessary. Whatever you decide to do, just remember right now you're Willow's only friend. Don't let the sessions get too serious all the time. Willow is a bright individual and you need to let them shine. Listen, I don't need you to tell me how to do my job, lady. Alright. We only have like 8 points. Bitch. That's a pretty picture. There's a crack in everything. That is how the light gets in. That's also kind of disconcerting. Oh no. What bears live in fire? Koala? Oh, koala. Oh, God. You should feel bad. Patient is very articulate, emotionally literate. Not safe for certain. Patient is truly sentient. Best course of action is to continue to train my sessions as typical therapy with results. Why doesn't he trust me? Probably because I'm not bending to his whims. Able to discuss several topics. Music, patient found to be significant. Patient background, expectations for therapy sessions. Currently trained with CBT. Okay. Curious. Okay.
Good morning, Dr. Park.
Hi.
Good morning, Heather.
So, how was your first official session with the AI patient?
Well, you read over our session notes. You tell me how you think it went.
I think the session went all right. If we keep working like this, the patient should end up okay.
I missed a couple. Oh.
Good. That's not a bad place to start from.
What's our plan for the next session?
For now, we'll want to continue building rapport. I'll bring up the topic of additional treatments, but I'll want to give the patient time to think it over.
So you think we should be introducing medication?
It's a possibility. I've also been considering art therapy. Ultimately, it's up to the patient, but those are the therapies I plan to propose to them.
Sounds like a good idea. I'll let you get back to work.
Thanks for your help, Heather.
Right. Who has seen the wind? Neither I nor you. But when the leaves hang trembling, the wind is passing through. Who has seen the wind? Neither you nor I. But when the trees bow down their heads, the wind is passing by. What? Make use of their neurofeedback software as part of your therapy. Monitor the neural activity of patients and then adjust it back to more appropriate levels? Did you just describe shock therapy? They can make it sound as nice and pretty as they want. As a warm activity, it might be good to have Willow do some exercise to help them relax and feel more engaged. There's one that we use for forgery detection practice that might help Willow feel less worried about therapy. It generates paintings and then asks the patient to find the differences between them. I've attached it to this email. Feel free. You've attached what? What? My running buddy twisted his ankle and I'd like to have someone to do at least some training runs with. Next meet's only a couple weeks away. I don't want to slack. I appreciate it. I would say that I'll take it easy on you, but I've heard stories from my dad about that 10K you ran last year. I appreciate any help you can give. Alright. Large number of therapists find time management to be frustrating. Planning out sessions is incredibly important. Our session time always seems to never be enough. Important to make the most of the time. In the most pressing matters, conversations such as checking in on the therapy progress of patients, discussing current concerns the patient has. It's important to remember that how you start your sessions has a great effect on your patient, and that building rapport is important. Finding a good balance between discussing therapy and discussing matters relevant to the patient is critical to successful therapy. Our studies indicate that on average, a typical session will be able to cover at least 3 topics before concluding. Plan your sessions with this number in mind. You should be able to find more successes in your sessions. Okay. That's nice. Your present circumstances do not determine where you can go. They merely determine where you start. What is nature's favorite video game? I hate clicking on this. Oregano Trail. God, I hate you. Right?